Thank you very much for joining this this event. Is the final event of the ACT project. Before introducing you to the topic of today's meeting, I would like to give the floor to Giovanni Colombo, who's the Executive Director of Transparency International Italy, for a welcome remarks. So, Giovanni, the floor is yours.
Well, let's start. A warm welcome to all and good morning. We are approaching the conclusion of ACT project and we are pleased to present this event. In over 2 years of collaboration, the ACT project has involved experts engaged on issues of transparency, anti-corruption, access to information, and others. The public bodies of 3 European and Mediterranean nations, courageous and innovative, are the first beneficiaries of this work, but we hope for a wider dissemination that could reach other subjects till the small entities. Over the years, the importance of the value of transparency and integrity, also supported by the legislator, have produced requirements and implementation. But here we are making a step beyond legality. We recognize a new spirit that expands the concept of integrity with action beyond the regulation already codified to embrace a broader vision and good behaviors. As in the private sector, even small companies are becoming aware, more and more aware that integrity is an asset to compete, to work with large companies, to be selected in the best supply chain. Here, in public bodies, the quality guidelines are the satisfaction and the trust of citizens, but also of stakeholders who work closely and of employees who love to be a part of a group that propose a value system. Whoever takes the opportunity to improve the processes concerning ethics, good governance, and transparency can build the future toward which everyone is looking for. There we find the citizen as a conscious, informed, and expert observer as a real stimulus for improvement. We wish for a wide participation by the administration, but also by the citizens, so that these tools, guidelines, tutorial platform that we will see later will be a relevant contributions and could be used in the best way now and in the future. Good job to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Giovanni. Thank you for your words. I forgot to tell all the participants that we have translations in the free language of the project partners, so you can follow the meeting also in Spanish, Greek, and Italian. You just need to select the word icon you find on the bottom of the screen, and then you select there the language you prefer. And you can also leave on the original audio if you prefer, or just switch it off to silence it. So just a technical question I forgot to mention at the beginning. Thank you, Giovanni. I just now give a brief introduction to the project, very brief, because my partners and the experts and the guests today will talk more about what has been done during these 2 years and about the topics we have focused on in this project. The ACT project has been a very important project, 2 year long. It was born at the beginning with the idea of supporting local municipalities in their fight against corruption, in the prevention of corruption at local level. For this reason, the partners from Italy, from Spain, and from Greece, which I would like to thank you for their work and their efforts during these months, the great work. We have developed these tools in collaboration also with three municipalities, three very important municipalities from Athens, Madrid, and Milan, which collaborated with us in identifying the main challenges for local municipalities in the fight against corruption, and support us in defining the tools and how to act to prevent this phenomenon at local level. So, very in short, we have developed 5 tools which focus on 5 main areas, which are very important for us to do this task, which are access to information, risk analysis, whistleblowing, the legislative process and the transparency of the decision-making process, and open data in public procurement. In these 5 areas, we have identified some shortcomings, some challenges, and we have tried to overcome them, to find solutions, technical solutions, also to support, as I said, local governments in their daily job on anti-corruption. And so we are pretty proud of presenting what we have done during these 2 years. I just mentioned that the ACT project website is live. You can find it at www.anticorruptiontoolkit.eu, and there you can find all the information of the activities done and the participating cities and the tools that has been developed during these 2 years. And I mean, don't want to take more time from the other speakers, because they will go more in depth in all the activities and all the things we have done. So the first panel will focus on the transparency process in local governments, and we will speak about access to information and the transparency of the decision-making process. And so I give the floor to Helen, if is ready. Hi, Helen.
Hi, Susanna. Buongiorno. Good morning.
Helen is the Executive Director of Access Info Europe, our partner organization in Spain, and the leading organization on access to information. And so, Helen, I give you the floor and let you introduce your guests, your speakers. Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you very much indeed, Susanna. And once again, everybody who's here, we've got a lot of interest. Welcome, everyone, to this discussion about anti-corruption and transparency at the local level. Very exciting to have such a wide participation. I can see in the chat that, as well as Spain, Italy, and Greece, the 3 project countries and other countries in Europe, we have people from, we've got Khalil from Kabul, Chine from Nigeria. So this is very, very important that we've got this global audience here, and the Philippines. Wow. What time of day or night is it there? Someone really cares about local government transparency. Fantastic. Just a reminder, once again, we have the 3 languages. It's the afternoon, good. In the Philippines. We have the 3 languages, 4 in fact, English, Spanish, Italian, and Greek. So don't hesitate to listen in the language that's most comfortable for you. And for the people who will speak in a moment on this first opening panel, you can also express yourself in your own languages, but just remember to switch to the relevant channel if you're going to do that. So why are we here? I think that's the first question. Before I start this fantastic panel, and I'll introduce my speakers in a moment, why are we here this morning? Why are we working on anti-corruption at the local level? And why is there such a strong link with transparency? That's one of the things that we will discuss today, and it's one of the questions I'll put to my speakers as well. Why is this so important? But I think that we know that so much of decision-making that affects citizens is decision-making done at the local level. We're all closer to our local government. It's often more relevant to us. It doesn't seem so distant. But historically, unfortunately, it's at the local government level that we've often seen different kinds of corruption. So clearly, it's very important that we work to ensure that there isn't corruption, that there is transparency, that there is participation at the local level, so that local governments really do take decisions in the benefits of the local community as a whole, not just a few interested individuals. And that's precisely what this European Commission funded project has been aiming to achieve over the course of the last couple of years, developing this fantastic set of tools, which we're going to tell you about this morning, and which for everyone from local governments listening, if you're interested in working with us to use these tools, to implement them, to advance with your transparency, your anti-corruption efforts, we're here to be able to help you. Ok, so
quindi direi che possiamo iniziare.
Process in this first session. As we all know, generally around the world, it's been recognized that there is a right of access to information, and countries have access to information laws of different qualities. And here to discuss that, we have a great panel. We have Rudy Bormann, who's the head of local government at the Open Government Partnership. I'll introduce you a little bit more in a moment, Rudy. We have Cecilia Grabowski from Open Polis, which is one of the project partners, which has been working to, hi Cecilia, buongiorno, been working to help open up, provide tools where we get more information online about what's going on inside local government so that it's more visible and accessible to the public. And Antonio Relaño, our fantastic partner from the Madrid municipality, who helped us, particularly running a whole series of questionnaires at the beginning of the project, which revealed the kinds of needs that there are within local governments. Because, you know, local governments aren't something homogenous. There's a lot of people in different departments doing different things at the local government level, particularly for large cities like Madrid. But, you know, Madrid's a sizable, significant city in Europe. And there are a lot of people working there. And how do you ensure that all of them are committed to transparency, to the fight against corruption? So those are some of the things that we're going to be discussing this morning. I'm going to start with Rudy. I know that you have to leave after not too long, Rudy, but thanks for being able to be here. We're starting this panel a little early, so hopefully you'll be able to participate in most of it, and then your colleagues can take over. Rudy, you have a long experience because you actually work both at you're now with the Open Government Partnership, which you maybe can tell us, for people who don't know it, you can tell us a couple of words about what is the Open Government Partnership. But you've also worked, you've got the hands-on inside government experience at the Buenos Aires city government, and then of course in the Argentine government. So, and I'm not sure where you're now. I think are you in Brussels right now? Or Berlin or somewhere in Europe? I don't know, where are you?
Thank you, Helen. So great to see you. I'm in Brussels right now.
You're in Brussels, fantastic. Good. So you didn't have to get up too early, which is great. So Rudy, over to you. Tell us a little bit about the Open Government Partnership and why, for this alliance of 78 governments working for transparency, why has it been recognized that it's so important to have a unit focused on local government, something that's really a developing element of what the Open Government Partnership does? So looking forward to hearing from you a little bit about all of that. Thanks.
Sure, Helen, thank you very much, and good morning to everyone on the call, or good evening, good night. Regarding timings, we have people from all around the world, and congratulations again to the authorities to access info for this tool, and also to Madrid, Athens, and Milan for participating, because without those spaces for do those deep divings and experimentations and collaboration, the things don't happen. So it's great that we have that space. So the Open Government Partnership is an organization that it's turning 10 years now. It was founded by 8 original countries with a big support of President Obama back in 10 years ago. 8 countries, 8 organizations from civil society that push a unique standard, international standard, in which countries commit to co-create policies with civil society in a process that is fully transparent. And it's a unique process around the world. This is the only organization that promotes a mechanism for co-creation, that promotes a way to do policy making as it should be, with people at the center, with organizations working together, aligned with reformers inside the government. And those 8 countries are more than 90 now. More than 3,000 organizations from civil society are operating in the context of the Alliance. And 4 years ago, I will say that a very long-awaited step was taken, which was start introducing local governments within the partnership, because this was an organization mostly directed by operating in countries, right? So 4 years ago, we launched an initiative of local governments, in which Madrid is one of our pioneers governments, and we start adapting the model at the local level. It gave us a lot of learnings, and as Helen was saying, the local level brings an amount of evidence, an amount of learnings, and maybe it sounds, of course, maybe obvious, right? By being the distance you have from the state to the citizens is just smaller. So all the things that matters, all the information, all the policy issues, all the ecosystem of different types of organizations and operating at the local level gives you an opportunity to really take a look on what's going on at the local level. That gives you a lot more of tools, I would say, compared to the national. So basically, the results of those 16 first local governments, I think, gave the push to the Alliance to define an expansion of this partnership. And this happened last year with 50 new local governments that have joined. So now it's 76 local governments are operating, 76 mayors and governors have signed a commitment to this unique tool of co-creation, which is the partnership. And also from our side, I will say, Helen, also with a big desire of learning. I think the whole partnership, this whole international mechanism of co-creation and openness, which today is probably more relevant than ever, as the tool we are seeing today, it's also wanting to learn a lot regarding this, what the local ecosystem can give. So that's where we are right now. They're super excited on that new step at the local level.
Okay, thanks very much indeed. Yes, and I think we've seen that. In fact, the Access Info team did a briefing for Open Government Partnership local people recently. There is this desire to learn about how to do transparency and anti-corruption better. Let's keep moving through our panelists, and then maybe we can get a bit of a discussion going. I would encourage everyone who's listening, if you've got a question, throw it into the chat now. We'll be collecting them, and we'll try and get a bit of a debate going after these initial introductions from our speakers this morning. So we do have time to answer your questions specifically. We're going to go now, before we come to Madrid City, but which we will come to in a moment, we're going to go to Cecilia Grabowski from Open Polis. Now, Open Polis, you use data for public good, for helping public institutions, civil society, journalists engage, and you've been part of this project. So tell us a little bit about what you've been doing as Open Polis Sicilia to help make local governments more transparent, and about the kinds of tools that you've been developing that can be available for anyone listening who's from a local government. Over to you, Cecilia.
Thank you, Ellen, and good morning, everybody. I'm Cecilia Grabowski, and I work as project manager and project designer for Open Polis Foundation in Rome. And as Ellen said, Open Polis is an independent and non-profit foundation that collects data and produces information about power, politics, economy, social issues, territories, and so on. And all of our activities have to do with data. So we analyze data and make them available by producing data journalism articles with data visualization, but also with tools like graphs and maps. And today I'm going to present you the platform developed by Open Polis Foundation within the context of the ACT project, so which is an open government system platform. So open government, as also Rudy and also Ellen said, is a transparency system that allows citizens to monitor the activities of elected representatives, but also government members and public officials. And in doing so, the system empowers civic participation of citizens in the political life of their countries, but also regions and cities. And also it makes representatives accountable for their actions and decisions. So to come to the point, I will show you a presentation, a short presentation. I hope you can see that. Okay.
Yes.
So as I said, open government is a transparency system, and it empowers citizens and elective representatives, citizens, journalists, but also business companies can benefit from that. And so the point is not only to have correct data collected, but also to use them and to have the correct tools to visualize them. In order to do so, we as Open Polis designed this platform that I will show you that has two different objectives. The one is to monitor the representatives' agenda. So the meetings with the different stakeholders, like companies and lobbyists, to keep track of the topics covered, so the meeting's agenda, but also the economic interest of each representative, namely their annual salary, and their interest and roles in companies. So I will go to the platform. Of course, the platform that I show you now, can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. So the platform I will show you now, it's just temporary. I mean, there is a name of Fantasy Utopia, but every municipality will be able to customize with the real name of the city, of the town, its platform. And as you can see on the top of the page, you can see the number of meetings. Like in this blue colored box on the left, you can see the number of meetings, both the one that have already took place, but also those who are planned, like here. And on the left, you can see the number of representatives, like included in the platform, and their yearly income, so their salaries, and the number of interest they have in private or public companies. Here you can see below, so two other boxes. The one on the left shows the top 5 representatives by number of meetings. Here you can see 21. Here, all the data inside now are not real data, so it's only like a temporary visualization, and we put inside the fake data, but in order to show you. Then you can see the yearly income of each representative, and here you will find also the party of the representatives, and also the company interest, so the number of company interest the representative has, and this is it. On the right side you can find the top 5 organizations by number of meetings they had with the different representatives. So, for example, here there is this company, and you can see the overall number of meetings. Below you will find the meetings monthly timeline, so the meetings trend over time. And on the right, you will see the world clouds made by with the meetings issues. So you will find the recurrence of the team covered by the meetings. So the meetings agenda, basically, and it's really immediate to see what type of issues are covered by the different meetings. And here, more below, you will see the last meetings and the next meetings. Here, there is nothing, but you will see the scheduled meetings. On the top, you can see as you can see, the platform is really easy to use, and it makes like a visual, a really easy visualization at a glance of the meetings, of the number of representatives, their income, and so on. So it's really user friendly. Here you can find the different representatives by term, party, number of meetings, last income, and number of interest in companies. And the number of the meetings here, like the subject, so the agenda of the meeting, the date, the representatives involved, the different persons and organization, and the issues covered. And here is possible to make. And last but not least, the organizations list. So So the different organization divided per type of organization. So the public sector companies, the lobbies companies, the private companies. And below the different organization divided per name, type of organization, and number of meetings scheduled. And that's it for the platform side. And as you can imagine, it requires a little bit of work coming from the administrative side, because every representative has to be tracked, and also the meetings has to be like updated every day. But at the end, the platform will be really useful for citizens and all the other stakeholders. So, as I said, administrators will have the credential to access a backend platform for updating all the data and meetings in order to have updated visualization of all the informations. And these type of monitoring platforms are already established practices, for example, at European level. And we hope this type of platforms will be like spread to other like cities and municipalities in Europe, because we think it will be a really useful tool for anti-corruption, but also transparency. And at the end, you will find all the links to the platform. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much. Grazie, Cecilia. That was very useful. Utopia looks like a wonderfully transparent place. I guess it's a model for us all to aspire to. We've got one specific question that's come in the chat, so I'm going to put that to you now. And it's about the column on the yearly income. And the question is whether it's the income from being government officials or whether it's income that these people get from their involvement in private companies.
Good question.
Yeah.
I would like Ettore Di Cesare to help me in answering all these questions, because I think he will be more prepared if it's possible.
Yes, it's totally possible if he knows what the answer is. Ettore, are you there? I suspect it's from the income from being government officials, because I guess the additional income which any public officials have, or any additional wealth that they have, would be in their declarations of annual declarations of interests and wealth, right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise the municipality wouldn't necessarily have that information until the regular reporting.
I think.
Let's take that. I don't know if there's your colleague. Yes, Ettore. We can't see you, but we can hear you.
The information is only official information,
right?
And the value is the input of value is in the specific administration. The functionary of administration write this value, not our organization, of course.
Perfect. Thanks for that clarification. Great. Well, we may have more questions specifically about the application, which we'll come back to. But for now, let's move to our third speaker that we're honored to have with us this morning, Antonio Relaño, Director of Transparency at the City of Madrid. Buenos dias, Antonio. You're a lawyer by training, but you've also studied public procurement, so you really know about how to fight against corruption in one of the areas that's most sensitive to corruption. And you're now obviously working on transparency at the City of Madrid. Madrid was, of course, one of the first of 5 pilot countries to enter into the Open Government Partnerships local government program. So really has been a pioneer of doing this work on being more open, participatory, and opening up different data sets and trying to improve the requests to information, as well as, of course, doing a lot to reduce corruption. So tell us, Antonio, a little bit about what you think the priorities are for a city government like Madrid, and some of the things that you'd like to share with us about what you've been doing in recent times, and maybe also what some of the challenges are as well, because it's not always easy introducing these new tools and programs. So, are you going to speak in Spanish? ¿Vas a hablar en español?
Voy a hablar en español.
Vale. So everybody, remember to switch to the translation if you don't have great Spanish or are not trying to practice. Antonio, adelante. Gracias.
Vale, gracias. Muy bien, pues la Ciudad de Madrid, el reto de la corrupción y de la contratación pública lo ha abordado ya incluso en algunas causas penales. O sea que esta circunstancia es una evidencia que obliga a reaccionar a la ciudad de Madrid.
In this circumstance, we need to react in Madrid. In fact, we have been working a lot in the past legislation.
Precedente e ci siamo impegnati a fondo.
There's a lot of agreements with OGP. Some of these agreements are in line with our action. And in fact, as we saw before, as we listened to Mrs. Grabowski's speech, we have an anti-fraud office to gather all the reports anonymously so that we can track down all the suspicions, all the suspect cases. And as far as my work is concerned, I know that these circumstances, these report cases can be everywhere, and also especially inside the public administration office. That's why we need to appoint an anti-fraud official, and that person is competent when it comes to track down those report cases. And then if there is some misbehavior case, we need to take actions. We need to report that to the judicial authority. For example, politicians and managers are tracked down in a transparency portal. For example, in the lobbyist register, you need to perfectly know who those people gather with, and also if those people who gathered with the top managers and the mayor, for example, have private interests in the municipality. That's why we are working on the transparency order. In this transparency order, we have multiple news, and the main priority is transparency and public transparency, in public administration, sorry. For example, when it comes to public procurement and other urban programs, it is more likely that there are corruption cases, potentially corrupted cases. And apart from these, we have other things we need to talk about, like Mrs. Grabowski said. There is an ongoing project to implement the digitalization of the whole political activity in the municipal council, so that everybody can access the information, everybody knows what is the timing, what is the schedule. The main idea here is that we gather knowledge of what is going on inside the municipal council and what politicians want to do, what are the proposals of the municipal councils, what is going on in every district. And also we need to directly know what is the debate going on in every municipal council, in every city council. So this is a very specific and useful tool.
Y en la que fue realmente obra cuasi personal de la subdirectora, que hoy no comparece aquí, pero que es...
We're very happy because of that. That is something that we have been doing together, at least in my general direction, is that the transparency when we do the contracts. And this was a demand that we wanted to have initially, because it has to do with only regulation in very technical affairs. But we identified that it was a need to include this because it was an important part of contracts. This means that all contracts that are carried out need to have within the municipality a suggestion, but it was very welcome by all of the citizens, and it's become generalized, especially in the new contracts, with the end of having all new contracts that are signed within our municipality to have an implicit obligation to giving out information, but not information that has been information that's already saved, but to give it in a way that as is demanded now, because information is not just a PDF or information that might be a barrier so that we cannot access that knowledge, but it has to be a kind of information that could be used, that can also be downloaded in an automatic or fast way, and that can be definitely a kind of information that can be used and can be analyzed, studied, and eventually reused. So all of these clauses are then created by our participation general director, Teresa Regueiro, and we do have this in our transparency portal. They are available for everyone who wants to have a consultation on it. These are the main lines regarding what we are working against corruption. We also have different tools with greater improvement of the different portals, the digital tools for information, and giving greater access to the portals for everyone who might be interested, and then some participation processes. We have, many different lines, but since I think I just have 5 or 6 minutes, I don't want to annoy you with everything. I don't know, Helen, would you like to ask something? Do you have something you'd like to ask? Well, we're going to see what kind of questions we're receiving. Maybe we could add something else later. Antonio, thank you very much. Thank you.
Really important, because what we had there is a list of all the different things that you need to think about putting in place. You have your anti-fraud office that's receiving the alerts. Under the ACT project, we do have a whistleblower tool. And in fact, just this week or last week, was it? I can't remember now, yesterday maybe, we had somebody from one of the anti-fraud offices in one of the Spanish regions talking to the TI Italia team about this whistleblower platform. So, you know, we've already been promoting the tools developed under this project. You have your rules on transparency. And what's really interesting about the city of Madrid is that your ordinance on transparency goes a bit further than the national law, makes the process for requesting easier, which is very important for the citizens. You've been working on this legislative footprint. Sorry, it's been delayed by the pandemic, but glad to hear that it is moving ahead. Some things in line with what Cecilia, not exactly the same, but in line with what Cecilia was talking about. And the transparency in contracts, that's something that we know is really important, because as I've already said, it's in the world of public procurement, the area, a lot of government money is spent in public procurement, and the incidence of corruption historically has been very high. So it's great to have those clauses in the contracts which really require that transparency, making it something that it's an obligation that everyone gets used to. It's just the way we do business these days. And last but not least, to highlight from what you said, because I do think they're really important points, thinking about open data. That links to what Cecilia is doing with Open Polis as well, and what the Open Government Partnership encourages. It's not just a question of having a non-machine readable PDF online and then saying, hey, I'm transparent. No, that's not good enough. You need to think about how the public can take and use and analyze and understand that information. And the public you have to think of in broad terms. It's the critical journalists, yes, but it's also the groups of neighbors who want to participate in discussion about what the best plan is. And it's the businesses, the small and medium enterprises who actually want to follow the contracting process and understand what kinds of opportunities there are for them with their businesses. And having information in an open, reusable format helps that. So we're bringing together our different tools here and this general openness approach, which is very important. And we're making it sound like it's quite easy and we can do it, right? But I think it's not that easy, or would have done it all already. So I'd like to just go around each of our 3 participants. Well, really, you have a specific question about what OGP can do to really disseminate information about these tools. And the question comes from Carolis from the Open Contracting Partnership, which of course is an organization which promotes standards of openness for public contracting. And I have to say, Carolis, just so I think you know this, but to say to everyone, during this ACT project, we have absolutely been promoting the open contracting data standard, encouraging people to take that up. So specific question about what OGP can help to disseminate these tools. But I'd also like to ask all three panelists, going in the same order, what about the difficulties? What about the challenges? What's your one lesson learned about a problem that you had that you managed to overcome that you'd like to share, or a resistance you've spotted? Starting with you, Rudy, then Cecilia, then Antonio, please.
Thank you, Helen. And responding to Caroli's question, I mean, I think OGP has been for the last 10 years pushing and sharing and showcasing most of the tools that are out there. I think that's one of the great things when you work with civil society and the government. It's like, and as Helen was saying, OGP partners are part of the heart of the organization, and we try to bring those tools to both civil society or the government and be aware of what it is out there. And in local particular, we are trying to do that in a more contextual even level. So to make it even more relevant, because sometimes this issue seems like very much sort of national transparency, complex issues, but when you go to the local level, and open contracting is a great example, right? It's where you can really find a very concrete application of open data for one of the most complex problems in corruption all along the world in all levels, national, regional, provincial, local, etc., which is the contracting. And I think one important point we need to make, it was on Cecilia's presentation, but I want to do a small correction, is that open government is not a transparency system. Open government is a culture system. And we can put all these tools and all this technology together, which is amazing, in order to reduce the amount of information that is not under the control and the supervision of the public for accountability reasons. But if we don't change the culture inside the government, and this is where I think schools of government and training programs to make all public servants understand the value of opening up information and facilitating the access to information, is that you want people to make the right questions, and questions that help you understand how the government is taking decisions. And if you need one concrete example, let's just look around and see what's happening with COVID. When you need to understand how the government is buying, why did it choose that vaccine, how many beds do we have, etc., etc. So I think there is one important issue, and I think it's great that this tool that you are presenting today is looking in all those issues, which is that you need to create a solid ecosystem for improving the culture of information within a locality. And that's something that you can do way better at the local level, because the granularity of the examples, how close the issues are from the people's concerns, you will never get it at that level, at the national level. So that's where I think local governments, the ones that actually today you are seeing, it's the one responding to the pandemic more directly and had to take a lot of decisions. You see how important it is also to get citizens aware of how those decisions are made. So I think there is a cultural part regarding these discussions that I think sometimes we don't realize how important it's not to think about transparency and access to information as a sort of small department in the last office, but actually an ecosystem you need to help to bloom if you want to create better policies and create better government and create better citizenship in terms of their knowledge and civic participation. So that's my point in terms of the learning, Helen, that component that is very important from the education point of view.
Thanks, Rudy. I totally agree with you. I often say that, getting an access to information law is just the first step towards transparency. The cultural change is the much bigger challenge than the legal framework or the tools that you put in place. Maybe this goes to another question that we had in the chat, which is about perceptions of corruption. A lot of it is about trust in local government, and it's about building a culture of transparency so that we can actually change those perceptions from high perceptions of corruption and the distrust we have in government to actually being able to trust our government. So there's the culture inside the public authorities that we need to think about, and there's the culture in our communities and how people actually understand what's done in government. Transparency mechanisms are a way of contributing to changing that relationship, but it can't be done if it's just mechanical. There needs to be really a change in the culture inside the public authorities. It's really interesting. In Spain, as part of the ACT project, we did just recently, a few weeks ago, we did a survey all around Spain, and we had answers from 80 or 90 local governments, all different sizes, from around Spain. And we asked them, do you want guides on how to do it? Do you want tools, or do you want training? And I was really surprised by the results. They did want tools, so the ACT project wasn't done in vain. There's definitely 75% of the people who answered us definitely wanted tools, but even more than that, 85% wanted training. Really want to understand how to do this, how to change the culture. Now, Cecilia, I see you nodding there. So would you like to come in and comment on this question of what the challenges are and what do we need to do to really change cultures from your experience with Open Policy?
Sì, posso parlare in italiano con la traduzione?
Can I speak Italian with the translation?
I don't know how to say that. Sì, yes.
Ok.
Sì, claro.
Sì, allora grazie.
So, thank you, Helen. I fully agree with what Rudy.
E non aggiungo molto altro. Quello che sicuramente sono assolutamente d'accordo che sia necessario è la formazione, l'aggiornamento, perché appunto per spezzare un po' per aprire un po' questa porta e togliere questo ostacolo da parte dell'amministrazione di seguire e tracciare i dati e aggiornarli soprattutto, e quindi per avere un ingaggio, una presa su chi effettivamente poi si deve occupare concretamente dell'aggiornamento.
To take account of data updates, it is necessary to deliver training. And we also need to understand and explain why this is useful and why this effort needs to more efficiency. So it's not just
di anticorruzione, ma anche di, come dire, sì, di investimenti e di monitoraggio al fine di rendere più efficaci e efficienti le scelte politiche. Questo è un po' anche il nostro riscontro. E come hai detto benissimo tu, non siamo neanche noi positivi al 100% sul fatto che molti comuni e molte città adotteranno questo sistema, perché appunto c'è ancora comunque questa, diciamo, barriera o comunque questa non volontà, ma più che altro mancanza di cultura, come diceva Rudy, e quindi
culture, like Rudy said.
Di questi temi e provare appunto nel concreto anche quello che possono fare le amministrazioni, iniziare a fare questo processo e vedere, secondo me, con un riscontro appunto da parte della società civile, quello che può essere appunto uno sviluppo di un processo che porta interesse per tanti attori. Grazie.
Super, thanks very much indeed, Cecilia. Yes, and absolutely, it's in the benefits of everyone to do this, but it does require work to get this cultural shift and monitoring what we're doing. That's something else. And the tools that we do have these diagnostic tools for monitoring how well the access to information regimes are being implemented, looking at the risks and so forth. But also we have done surveys of the knowledge and attitudes of public authorities. And we did discover across the board in our three, Milan, Madrid and Athens, we discovered that not all, 27% average of the public officials in these three cities didn't know about their own access to information rules. So 1/4 of people working inside didn't know what their own rules are about how transparent they have to be. So once again, clearly, we need to evaluate that, because you can have the rules, but if your public officials aren't trained, if that culture isn't there, it takes time. It takes time. That's the challenge. It's not something that you can do overnight. With the Open Government Partnership, local governments commit to 2-year action plans. Madrid is now, I guess, coming up for its 3rd action plan. Am I right? Antonio can correct me in a moment. It takes a series of action plans and incremental changes. You say, well, right now, our priorities are these things. We're going to do this in the next 1, 2, 3 years. Implement the Open Policy tool, get some training from Access Info, whatever it is. Work with Watch on publishing more information proactively. Great. You can do that, but then building on that over time to really get that cultural change. We have to have some patience in this work as well. Antonio, tell us about challenges, about training, about cultural change, and what do you see the kind of next steps are for you in Madrid, please? Thank you.
The current situation due to the pandemic has greatly conditioned all of the different lines that we had. And I also think that all of the different countries and local governments can see that this reality is going to be next to us for a long time. In this given situation, we have seen different measures that were not foreseen and that came across because of this reality that came overnight with this COVID situation. So regarding transparency in the Madrid municipality, due to participation and transparency, we have adopted a series of standards that wanted to face these different extraordinary circumstances due to the pandemic. We published the pandemic folder, or the COVID folder, that on the one hand had all of the current updated information regarding how many people had died, the incidents, adapted to the city of Madrid. The idea was so that citizens could have an idea of their health system, which is a system that we have in Madrid. We were seeing it. We have established a series of circumstances, geographical limits and borders, so that we didn't have to do perimeters on all of the whole city, but just on the areas of the city that had a greater incidence. We'd had a specific medical center that would follow all of the people within that area. On this folder, we didn't just have data regarding the pandemic, but we also published, and this was a novelty because I think nobody did this in Spain, we published every week which the emergency contracts, and this has been a great solution. And I think that this has been exported or maybe done in other countries around Europe. And the idea was that of enabling and giving greater flexibility at the time that we needed to adopt measurements, because from one day to the next, we needed specific medical, different things that had to move fast because of the contract. So on the one hand, we had greater transparency to give out information that had to do with contracts, but not only. And we also have an public information catalog, which has been updated with briefer periods, considering the circumstances that we were all working with. This is something that can only be valued by the people who do this day in and day out, because you could see the update from the outside, but that update was done in very, very brief times, and in some cases, even less than a week, while we were looking after the rest of the incidences that give reason to the other services, being that assistance, medical, or services. So in all of these circumstances, we're seen from the perspective of transparency, and they did have a demand. People requested information, but at the same time, we had a series of participational processes. These processes have to do with the changing culture. I think that this has become a reality, and that even if we now see that they could be more, it's a reality that we're not going to go back from. For instance, in Madrid, there's a situation, at least here in the municipality, I wouldn't have ever imagined. We have an application, an app, so that people with an urban design can go inside a parcel or an area and define how they would change that area, that park, or that square. And this also has to do with the corruption we were speaking about before, the urban speculation, or why put a park here or a square there, why the park goes all this way or maybe not. And so having an application, an online application where people can not just have a voice, but they can even draw it and do this park, I would do it like this. Well, this shows a change in culture. I work in Madrid municipality, and I can see it from the inside, and I can say that public administration, at least in Madrid, I know that there are many, many countries in different cities and different situations, but I can see that there's a very big change. The change is very clear, and maybe some public officers do not know all of the different tools that they can have available. But the truth is that the anti-fraud office, that's what we handle, is always receiving more and more maybe things that have to do with administration things. But we are receiving more things. We can see more visits and the access to public information. Anybody can come to the municipality and ask for any kind of information. And this has been increasing. And it's true that this shows two things. On the one hand, that there's greater knowledge. And on the other side, that this greater knowledge can also give people an idea of what knowledge they can ask for. So on the one hand, I don't think we're going back, because this pandemic has created circumstances that are going to consolidate these changes, and people demand this. They want to be updated because they have maybe done contracts with someone and these contracts were secret. Well, that's not something people agree upon anymore. And as a catalyst, another thing has been the press. Press has always been very strong here, but these new standards are not just the ones that we had, but the press is also using the standards in a very efficient way. So the press itself, or the journalists, are coming to us asking for this information, and a journalist usually has no problem of signing with their own name. But the truth is that you can ask for information without even signing. You can just ask for the information, and you don't need to express why you're asking the information or what you're going to use that for. And I think that the change, this advancement, is going to create momentum, and we're going to go into that direction. We can change direction a little bit, but I believe that this cultural change is something that has already happened. The beginning might have been the toughest part, but no one's going to have questions about that. What we're just thinking about is the limit. We're not looking backwards, but we're looking forward, how we can organize this in the future. So I believe that there is a great change, that we're not going back from that. And what we can comment or discuss is if we're taking this at the speed we want, and if we can add some different features to this. This is what I see in Madrid. And of course, regarding the projects that we have, we want to channel this with the social council, with great participation, with the writing of new standards. So that the thing is that I believe that this is a process that has started and that it won't stop. That's great news. Thank you. Thank you, Antonio.
It's great to hear that you think that the cultural change is really something that can't go back. I agree with you very much that what we've seen during COVID is the public already understands the importance of transparency, but that really came to the surface more and more during the COVID pandemic. The importance of information in our societies for understanding, what do I do? Do I take do I have this vaccine or do I not? Do I trust the decisions that are being taken? Why can't I leave my region or not? To get everyone on board, people had to have the information. And I have to say, I think that you can it's easy to criticize, but largely I've seen really impressive efforts to inform. And as you say, the work that the Madrid City Hall has done, on the emergency contracts. This is really important. Access Info issued recommendations to governments. They're available on our website in different languages. Recommendations on how to be transparent around emergency contracts. Yes, it's okay in an emergency to do emergency contracts, but you still have to be transparent about it. A couple of other comments here on the participation. We're not talking so much on this call today about participation, but it is something that's really important as a complement to transparency. The Open Government Partnership stresses participation. Access Info, we always say, we do transparency to fight against corruption, to defend human rights, and to help participation. I love the tool that allows people not just to write, but to draw their ideas. I think all those kind of innovative tools are really important. And sharing them. How do we share them? This goes back to Carol's question earlier. How do we share them? Within Spain, and I'm sure it's the case in Italy and Greece and the other countries on this call, within Spain, there is something called the FEMP, the National Federation of Local Government, which helps disseminate information. And we did our webinar with them 2 weeks ago in conjunction with this association to help disseminate the knowledge about these tools. So part of our work as we come to the end of this European Commission funded ACT project is actually to disseminate the tools and to continue to promote them. I have a couple more comments as we're just beginning to get to the end of this session and wrapping up. We started a bit early, which is good, so we can keep moving with energy through this webinar. There is a question from Ronia Fischer, which I can take actually, as it's something I spend a lot of my time working on. And the question is the dilemma of being transparent and open on the one hand, and protecting personal data or commercially sensitive data on the other hand. We could do a whole webinar on that, Ronia, so I'm only going to give you a short answer.
Vi darò la risposta breve.
Contact us for more information if you want. It is something that's very important. Obviously, a local government holds a huge amount of information about private citizens, about private individuals, and some information about the commercial strategies of the companies they're doing business with. It's imperative that that information is protected. I have to say in Europe that our laws are generally pretty well structured. We have the General Data Protection Regulation, which does require the protection of privacy. But either the person who's dealing with the request for information or the legislator, when deciding that certain information will be made public, like contracts issued where public money is being given to private companies, the legislator does that balancing and says, yes, we know that there's information about these companies in these contracts, but on balance, it's more important that the public knows who's getting the contracts and can be reassured that there's no corruption and that the contract is a good one and that they can see it. So that balancing is always done. The lobby meetings. Yes, we have public officials and lobbyists and they're people as well, but there is a public interest in knowing who's meeting with whom so that we can be sure that there's nothing suspicious going on and that we can have confidence and that we can look at the balance. Are these public officials meeting more with business people or with civil society, or are there any issues there? Do we genuinely have participation? And the only way we can reassure ourselves of that is having a certain level of transparency. So there's a lot more we could say on that. It is an important consideration, but we need to get the balancing right. A reflex to just say the old-fashioned, this is the culture change as well. The old-fashioned reflex, oh, that's private. Oh, that's commercially sensitive. Oh, no, you can't have that. That's no longer, in the world of transparency, that's no longer acceptable. And we saw it in the pandemic, as Antonio was saying, you need to know which companies are getting these contracts because we had governments making mistakes and buying personal protective equipment from companies that didn't exist and didn't have it. So it's really important to have this transparency for saving lives at the end of the day. Let's not forget, this isn't just something theoretical. This is about people's day-to-day lives. It's about their hospitals, their schools. It's about how money is spent, which saves people's lives. So there's a lot more we could say, because this ACT project has been so rich and so full. And we've still got more tools to listen to this morning. So I'm going to wrap up this session. Just to say as a final word from me, and then I'll just check in with my panelists if you have any last 30-second comments, but otherwise we'll finish. Just to say that the ACT project is finishing, but the team from Transparency International Italy, from Watch in Athens, Open Polis on Data, the others, Access Info Europe here in Madrid, we're still here. And if you want to know more about the tools, or if you want us to do some training for your municipality, don't hesitate to be in contact with us, and we can discuss how we really help you take this forward. Okay, I don't know if Rudy may have had to leave because he had another event. I don't know if he's still there. Oh, he's no, Jose Maria Marin is standing in for Rudy. Hi, Jose Maria, welcome. Another one of the people working, a real expert on transparency, the fight against corruption. Spent many years working on these issues, and now at the Open Government Partnership, working on the local government. So great you could join us for the rest of this session, Jose Maria. I don't know if Antonio, Cecilia, or Jose Maria, you have any last really brief comments before we wrap up this session?
I mean, not really on anything additional. I think it was very interesting, conversation, and welcome also this focus on the change of culture to be able to, advance it. I think that's something, we truly believe that is the basis of being able to generate the long-term change. But thank you so much for the invitation. I really appreciate it, and all the best for the continued conversations you're going to have.
Great. Well, thanks that you can, and great that you can stay with us for the rest of it. And thanks to Rudy for being here earlier. Thank you so much, Cecilia and Antonio, also for your really important perspectives. That was very, very useful. Much food for thought there, and I'm sure that people will be interested in follow-up. And just from my side, I've been listening into some of the translation. How do we do this sharing of knowledge? It's also with the help of the interpreters. So I just want to say before we finish this session, it was sounding good. So thanks to the interpreters for being there. Thank you, Susanna. I know you put a lot of work into organizing this event. So I'm handing back to you with many thanks again to my panelists.
Thank you very much, Helen, for your contribution. You're always precious, and your guest, very fantastic experience and contribution from all of you. I would just like to add a couple of things, because for sure what I will take with me after this session is the aspect of culture. I mean, it's key, it's fundamental, because if we want, I would say, plant a seed, we need a fertile soil. And so if people are not engaged, are not involved, are not aware of the importance of all these tools and the impact that the tools we're presenting may have on their work, on their transparency of the municipality and in the prevention of corruption, if they are not aware of that, it is more difficult to reach our goals. And so, as you mentioned, training is fundamental, sharing knowledge, and all we can do to raise awareness, it's fundamental. And I'm sure that we as an organization, that's one of our main goals in everything we do. And I would like also to say that you mentioned the question of the perception of corruption. Of course, as Transparency International, we do a lot of work on this, but the perception is a perception. It's important, but it's a perception. And if we want to maybe give more, have another view on the phenomenon of corruption, we need data. And if to have data, we need transparency. And so we need in administration to work more on local level to produce this data, to have the information we have to really understand how the context is, how corruption works, and how we can fight it, because otherwise we will only rely on perception if we don't have reliable data. Just a couple of comments from my side on what you have been speaking about, and thank you again to all of you.
Totally. Thanks.
We will move on to the next panel. The next panel will be focused on other two main important issues, which are risk analysis and public procurement and open data in public procurement. As said, we need to know the context in which we operate in order to take the right steps, the right efforts to counter corruption. And this starts with risk analysis, which is a fundamental part of the work that officials do in the municipalities to develop a strategy to fight corruption. So this is one of the main issues, of the two issues we are going to speak in the next panel. And the other one is about the transparency of public procurement. Because as you know, in a period, especially in this historical period where here in Europe we are going through huge investments to restore from the pandemic, open data on public procurements are fundamental to monitor all the public procurement process and to be sure that the investments are used efficiently, are not wasted, and to the benefit of the collectivity. So I would like to introduce our next speakers, Andrea Nelson Mauro from the On Data Association.
Morning.
Hi Andrea. Ciao. Who's going to speak about public procurement and open data. We thank him for his participation. Mr. I hope to spell it correctly, Evangelos Gabrielatos, from the head of the internal audit directorate of the municipality of Athens. Thank you very much for joining the session. And unfortunately, Lorenzo Segato, which is our another partner of the project from REACT, an organization which collaborates with Avviso Pubblico for this project. It was unfortunately as an unexpected event and he couldn't take part of this session, but we have a short video from him explaining the work they've done during the project. So Andrea, when you just give me a sign, I will run the video and we will show what they have done for the risk analysis tool. So please go. The floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks Susanna, and thanks for having us. And sorry for my spaghetti English, but I'll try to be clear in this. Pieces of time that we stay together. I'm Andrea Nelson Mauro. I'm from On Data. That is an Italian organization focused on opening up public data in order to make it accessible for everyone, understandable, and for everyone. In this project we work on the field on the part related to the public procurement aspects, and despite the limitation related to the COVID pandemic, and we have had a good expertise, a good experience, to in dealing with this task, also with the help of other organizations such as Access Info and Woolly Watch and Transparency, that's helped us in understanding better what to do. In this little workshop today, we will try to arrange a discussion with the municipality of Athens, and with the help of this contribution from Lorenzo, and with our narrative from what we did as On Data. First of all, I will say my warm welcome to Evangelos Gabrielatos from the municipality of Athens. We worked with the municipality of Athens, also with the help of Woolly Watch, that is a non-profit association based in Athens. And I would give the floor to Gabrielatos in order to ask you to explain what you do in your municipalities, and what are the measures for countering corruption, for promoting transparency in your work, in your daily work. So please, Evangelos, if you want to take the floor. Can you hear me, Evangelos? Okay, all right, you are unmuted. Okay, please.
Good morning to everyone. My name is Evangelos Gavrielatos, and I am Director at the Audit Control Department of the Municipality of Athens. I would like to thank you for your invitation at this online workshop organized by you following the European program ACT, Anticorruption City Toolkit, coordinated by International Transparency of Italy. I welcome the workshop and all the participants. I would like to express our gratitude for the participation of Athens municipality to such a significant initiative of European range, and to underline the importance given by the municipality of Athens to transparency subjects and open communication with citizens and companies, with dedication to the institutions of democracy, which, after all, Athens constitutes a birthplace, a symbol.
È veramente il simbolo. È il centro veramente.
The democratic legality and transparency at the municipality of Athens and throughout the state is guaranteed by powerful institutions and relevant functions, such as the independent Hellenic Justice, the Independent National Authority of Transparency, the Parliament and the Parliamentary Control, the Independent Ombudsman, the Municipal Council, the Independent and Undefeated Audit Control Department of the Municipality of Athens, set up and in operation according to the national and international standards of audit control. This is reflected to the entire function of the financial and other services of the municipality. As a result, among others, of the complete compliance to the rules of legality and their confirmation by the Court of Auditors. The obvious transparency and appropriate management of finance, and not only, of the absence of deviations and corruption over time. Additionally, and dealing with public contracts, there have been adopted for years in the Hellenic state important tools of transparency, such as the clarity system, the Avia, in which are announced on the internet, without exception, all the acts of the administration, of the central and local administration, combined with the parallel, institutionally and functionally active system of personal data protection, responsive to the corresponding European directives. Moreover, the municipality of Athens has adopted for years a system of its own transparency, accessible to the internet by anyone, by posting all decisions of the municipal council, of the financial committee, of the life quality committee, and videotaped all the sessions of the municipal council, and by the telephone calling center 1595 for submitting questions, complaints, requests by anyone without exception. and ensuring organized and prompt response. Consequently, the citizen and company informing for all the above mentioned functions constitutes a major priority in which it is estimated that will contribute the ACT program as well. We are aiming to keep on being a positive model and contribute by all our potential, organizational experience and expertise to enhancing prestige, reliability and effectiveness of the municipality of Athens, of every municipality of the country, of our state and of the world. I hope to perfectly achieve your works and this initiative to be used constructively. Thank you.
Thank you, Evangelos. Thank you, Evangelos. Could I ask now a question to the municipality of Athens, or Susanna, you suggest me to make it?
As you prefer. If maybe,
okay.
Yes, we can just ask.
Evangelos, I would ask you for a question, a leader question, if you can answer now or later on, whatever you prefer. What about the role of citizens in monitoring public procurement? Do you have any process specific, any policy of engagement or anything else in Athens? Can you give some overview on that?
Okay. Citizen engagement is a major priority in Athens over time. So, as I told you before, information about everything that happens in the municipality is accessible to everyone, to every citizen, to every company, to every authority. What is important to keep in mind is that there is a system of internet accessible information about all this. Every contract is published on internet through the internet page of the municipality. Every contract. Okay. Every intention to sign contracts is also published there. Every citizen, every company has the right and has access to produce its own remarks or submitting questions, complaints, requests through a specific telephone calling center, which is prepared to organize all response and prompt response to every request. Moreover, there is a system for audit control, which is not only a municipal system. It is a system which is inspected by the what we call the Court of Auditors. The Court of Auditors controls every act dealing with financial interests in the municipality and all over the state.
Okay.
And what is important to keep in mind is that the whole organizational structure is constructed following the international standards and recommendations of the ISO organization, International Standard Organization, and International Audit Organization. So we have a powerful structure which gives citizens a real power to follow all this and to participate through the videotaped sessions of the Municipal Council, of the Financial Committee, and of the Life Quality Committee, which is the three main bodies that are institutionally provided to ensure the legality of our municipal service. This is a quite effective system, which is a kind of prototype to spread over the country and to follow by other municipalities and authorities. It is very easy for every citizen to have access through internet and to participate to the sessions of the Municipal Council, to the Life Quality Council, and to have its reactions to all this, to ask information about contracts, about proposals for contracts, and to know whatever it is interesting for citizens and companies. So corruption is rather impossible because additionally, there is a system that I didn't mention for controlling every officer, every municipal councillor, every official of the central government for its incomes. It is obligatory to give to specific authorities our incomes each year. And this is a way to look if it is someone who have incomes which is not justified from by his salary. So every officer and municipal councillor can be controlled by this mill. I think it is in its conception the same guidelines that the ACT program is going to propose for all the local authorities all over Europe and so on. I would like also to have your attention in the fact that Europe is a leader power for this anti-corruption initiative. But it remains that there are many countries in the world that need to be copy or inspire from our paradigm in order to fight against corruption. Because Europe is not the only entity of the world. There are other entities as well, in Africa, in Asia, everywhere. So we have to propose this tool all over the world, because it is a tool which will help all countries, all authorities, all cities to have healthy economy and healthy internal systems. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Evangelos. Thank you, Evangelos. Yeah, I agree with the different statements, and this is our project was focused on trying to pilot a kind of a pan-European experience or pan-European research, if you prefer. So we have tried to mesh up what were the different ways or procedures from different countries, and we in trying to balance national rules and regulatory commitments with European and worldwide needs of accessing data and transparency aspects. Susanna, if you want, we can now have a few minutes to watch the video from Lorenzo Segato that covered the part of a risk analysis study. We have he and his colleague Nicola Cappello carried out a specific activity to design and implement a pilot of a risk analysis task related to the process of tendering, assigning tenders, and make public data, make data public, and monitoring procedures. So I think that the expertise, the experience would be helpful for us to understand what we can learn from this learn analysis pilot. So Susanna, if you...
I'll share the screen.
Yeah.
Just... okay. Can you see?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi guys, hello everybody. I am Lorenzo Segato, and with Nicola Cappello we are working for React, and we are here today to talk about the risk analysis tool for the ACT project. Unfortunately, we cannot be with you attending the conference. We are on a business trip and we're not sure to be available for the time of the conference, so we have to register this video. We hope that it can be showed during the conference and it can be useful. And the video is about the risk analysis tool. What is risk analysis? Risk analysis is a part of the process of dealing with the prevention of corruption. In particular, is a very powerful tool to identify the possible risk of corruption before the crime happens. So it is very important that we understand that the tool it can be difficult to apply, it can be complex to understand, but it's really an investment that any municipality can do to protect their assets and their resources. This is one of the several tools that this project has produced. Probably is one of the tools that should be used for first, exactly because it talks about prevention. It's like transparency, which is a tool for prevention, or it's part of the so-called passive tools. It's not a proactive tool that citizens have to use to reduce corruption. It's something that has to be performed by the municipality. So it is your task to perform this risk analysis in your municipality. When we started this project, we tried to understand first what was the state of the art in the different municipalities. In this project, we have the city of Milan, the city of Athens, and the city of Madrid, 3 big cities with many citizens, key relevance for their countries, a lot of employees, a huge budget. So firstly, we tried to understand what was the risk analysis performed in those 3 municipalities. And we learned that the situation can be very different across Europe according to the legal framework in place. In Italy, you probably know, we are obliged by law to perform the risk analysis within the anti-corruption strategy. So we found that the city of Milan had performed the risk analysis before. In other countries, this is not mandatory by law. So since there is no obligation, the risk analysis were not performed. But the relevance and the impact of this risk analysis is considered high. Once we understand what the risk analysis is, then we can be sure that the importance of this tool is understood. Even if the risk analysis is performed, however, it is not completely, fully clear how to do it. Apart from the legal framework that explains to the municipalities how to perform the risk analysis, we need, of course, the engagement of the, let's say, top management. We need the engagement of the political part of the municipality. The mayor must be fully conscious that the fight of corruption is one of the strategies to solve many problems in the public administrations and can help anyone to use the resources in the proper way. So once the mayor, the council, so the elected officials of the municipality and the top management, the secretary general, the general director, they must be convinced and they must be engaged in this fight. Because of course the risk analysis involves all the staff, all the employees, and reviews all the processes of the municipality. And if there is no strong engagement by the top of the municipality, of the top of the administration, it is quite difficult that the employees will perform this activity, which is, as we said, quite complex at the beginning, and it requires some time and some competencies. And competencies is the second key element to perform the risk analysis. At the very beginning, nobody knows how to do it because we have to analyze the risk of corruption. And the definition, the concept of corruption is quite wide. We can include lots of behaviors. We can include a lot of wrongdoings in the public administration. So the first step is to understand what is corruption. But even when we decide what is corruption, how can we analyze the risk that an event of corruption may occur in the municipality? We spend a lot of time to develop a methodology and to understand the different steps that must be performed for this risk analysis. And the tool that we have developed in this project is exactly a tool that helps the municipality to follow this path. The tool will not solve all the difficulties in performing the risk analysis. It's not the silver bullet to fight corruption, but definitely it can help you to start this process and to follow all the key steps in this process. So how can we perform this risk analysis? What is the process that we have to follow? the third thing we always say to the people in the municipalities, the third step is to think criminal. You have to be aware that corruption is made by people. It's not made by process. It's not made by the municipality itself. It's the people working in the municipalities. Of course, with the pressure of private companies, of businessmen. So the first step is think criminal. If I have to review the organization of my administration, the activities that I do, I have to think, what if instead of me or my colleagues, we have some criminals? How can these criminals exploit the activity of the public administration to get rich, to earn money illicitly? Of course, if we look at the investigation of the criminal cases, we'll learn how the criminals could do this. But we are working on prevention. So we have to think about what could happen in the future. So I have to think, well, I'm sitting in my office, I'm doing my job. What could happen here? It's not happened yet, but what could happen? And we have to discuss among the colleagues in the municipality to identify the vulnerabilities. Let's say the weak points of my process that can open the opportunity, open the door to criminals. Just to make an example, we can have a list of beneficiaries and we keep this list in an Excel file. This file is stored in a server and anyone can access to this file. And so add a name of a beneficiary into this file. This is a weak point. Once I have identified the weak point and I have understand the risk of corruption, I have to put them in order, from the most serious one to the less one. Because of course I cannot solve the problems of the world in a day. So I have to start with the most risky processes. I make the list of processes and then I define some measures to mitigate this risk. Of course, it might appear complex. It is complex. It's a long process. But what our tool, the tool of the ACT project, can do, the tool can drive you through this process, in particular for those countries that have no legal framework that designs this activity, can help you in performing this process, and step by step you can follow the step, and the tool provides you also a guideline. And in these guidelines you can find more detail, more information on how performing the things, what you should do, what you shouldn't do. And the best option, of course, is to be supported by experts in doing this activity, but you can try on your own, especially, as we said, if the political part of the municipality is committed on this. Once you have performed this activity and you have designed the measure, you only have to keep up the process, monitoring these measures, review the processes, review the risk analysis, because the goal of this strategy is to reduce the opportunities of corruption. Corruption will always happen, we cannot stop it. But the more we apply this tool, the more we will be able to reduce opportunities and also reduce our responsibilities in case corruption occurs. So, getting to the end, what is the lesson learned from this ACT project? First of all, it's been a great experience working with our friends, our colleague. We have designed a tool which is a voluntary tool. Except from Italy, you're not obliged to apply this tool, but the Italian experience teaches us that the more you work, the more we proceed on this path of integrity, the more the municipality get acquainted and develop skills on integrity. And this is probably the best lesson learned from this project. The more we work on integrity, the more and the better the municipalities are able to prevent corruption. Of course, there is still a lot of lots to do. We will proceed working on and doing research on this topic, and with the final aspiration of everybody to fight corruption and have an efficient public administration in all our countries. So this is the end of this video from my side and from Nicola's side, which is taking the video. We say goodbye, and we wish the best for the conference, and we hope to see you soon in the future. Bye bye, ciao.
What a helpful video, what a lovely locations. I think that it is very, very fantastic location. And if I'm not wrong, Lorenzo at the moment is in Sardinia for working purposes. So, so for those of you that want to understand more about this risk analysis tool, I try to share my screen. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, this is the project website. You can find in the toolkit section the analyzing the risk of corruption on the second part of this menu, to deepen the arguments and see the guidelines and the survey, the template of the survey for understanding better what are the part of the work of Lorenzo's team. Now is the time to share our expertise as we did as on data in the field of public procurement. Just to jump in the right page of the project website. First of all, I want to share a few thoughts with you because On Data is an organization composed by technicians, by journalists, by citizens, by civil servants, but we are not lawyers. So our approach to public procurement has already been related to the technological part, to the point of view of people that would know much more about data, about public procurement process, the people that want to access more data and taking on the beside the regulation aspect, not because they are not important, but because we are not expert on that. So this is the main point. So the principal point. For the time being, we know that European Commission is working in trying to standardizing the process of public procurement all over the Europe. The Commission is working in promoting, in defining and promoting the e-forms, that is a standard of collecting and publishing and gathering data about public procurement. And the e-forms will be a standard that will be spread all among European countries in the next few years. We have had a special focus on the Italian side of the topic because we are based in Italy. We have worked with the municipality of Milan with a great help from them, and I would mention the kind support from Fabrizio Dell'Acqua that will be with us in a few minutes, and from Mariangela Zaccaria that are in charge of the process, two of the persons in charge of the process of management of public procurement for the city of Milan. And at the end of the project, we have worked also with, we have managed a series of discussion also with the National Anticorruption Authority, and in particular by presenting our tool in a previous workshop or 1 or 2 weeks ago with Gianpaolo Sellito, that is a person in charge of the process, and a person with the IT technological expertise that is in charge of the process of publication of open data. From the beginning to the previous days, to the late days, we have learned a lot in terms of different flows of data, different processes, different procedures. And just for instance, I think that I didn't have before is the value of the public procurement in Italy, that is 150 billion per year. That is a very huge amount of money spent for services, infrastructure, and furnitures everywhere from dozens of thousands of public institutions. And the national ANAC, the National Authorities, Anti-Corruption Authorities in Italy, told us that they manage every year something like 6 or 7 million procedures of procurement. So that is a very huge number, incredible, awful, or awesome, if you prefer. And they manage at the moment data about tenders for from 5 or 6 years ago that are something like 60 or 70 million procedures, tenders in the database of the national authorities. So I don't know, the galaxy we are trying to have a look about is very enormous. And if you imagine what kind of effort you need to spend to monitor these processes, it's very awful to convince yourself to in which way you can analyze 6 million tenders per year or 60 million tenders in 5 years. So we strongly believe that the main point of our activities as on data, as a non-profit organization, and we have tried to brought in the project and shared with the other partners, is the process of releasing data, publishing data, and make people able to access it and to analyze it in whatever they want, for any purpose, without any kind of limitation, and without any kind of limitation also in terms of location or business or for non-profit purposes and so on. Also because we have tried to understand what kind of part we can identify in the procurement process, and we have studied the process of public procurement. We have identified a common standard that could be used for publishing data at any location, in any part of the world. So let me share my screen just to share with you a few points on that. We found that the most important or most common standard in the world is called Open Contracting Data Standard. In my screen, you can see the website of this project. It is a project that is a kind of spin-off from the World Bank. It was born within the context of the Open Government Partnership in one of the activities that OGP made in the past years. The focus of Open Contracting Partnership is in trying to define and promote a common standard in the world to make data of public procurement accessible, available, and interoperable at different level. So, for instance, I can match public procurement from Rome with the ones from Mexico City or New York City and so on. We learned a lot from them. Just in the first step of our activities, just to study their website, and in the second one, just also by asking them some support in different ways to define our tools, to get back some support in terms of the technicians, staff, and aspects of our work. So, for instance, in this page, you can see the one of the main points of the contracting process that is sliced in different steps. So, for instance, we have usually we think about the award phase or the contract phase, when a series of participants can compete to win a tender, and at the end one of them is selected. But the procurement process is very large from the planning phase to the initiation of the tender, to the award, to the contract, to the implementation. Because after the awarding a company to do something, you have to be sure, or obviously, that they will complete the work. What is the completion rate, for instance? What is behind the completion? How the completion is connected to the previous phases of the contract, to the public budget of a single institution, to the selection process. So open contracting data standard can give you the possibility to link each one of these phases, and is an open format, so you can use everything for free, without any expenses, without any permission from them. There are a lot of resources on this website, and guidance, assessing data quality, everything. You can start from the scratch and spend some time with your technological technicians in your institutions. And at the end of the process, at the end of some experimentation, you can implement by yourself, fully by yourself, without the help from anyone, the standard in your website, and fully for free if you want. Obviously you can ask for support to some companies and so on, but if you want to do by yourself anything, you can, absolutely you can, without spending anything. We have worked for we have promoted the introduction of the open contracting data standard in the ACT toolkit. Open Contracting Partnership, that is the organization that is promoting this standard, is working with the European Commission. It is not new in the European context, because they are established here from years. They are working European Union, but this standard is not so spread in different institutions. So this is the phase. It is after a kind of beginning phase, and now it needs to scale up in terms of distribution and use among different institutions. So we are promoting the standard. We are trying to implement in our project. So we have defined, you may find in the project website, the resources that we have made that are accessible for free, obviously, in the open data on public procurement procedures section. So we have defined the guidelines, just a quick guide to assess which is your state of the art, what are the rules, regulations for the European Commission, how to assess this aspect, and how to implement open contracting. Limitation or issues, or just to give you a quick overview of how to implement open contracting. We have created a tutorial with a series of slides to see what are the process phases to transform your data in open contracting data standard. We have worked with the Open Contracting Partnership to manage it, to rearrange it, and we have published it in this process with the help of transparency, also a OCDS template that is a simple tool, a spreadsheet, in which you can put your data. For instance, if you have a public institution, you can identify a tender, a single tender. You can put data of this tender in this OCDS template, and it will transform it in OCDS formats in a manner that you can see, that you can compare the data at the beginning phase and after the OCDS transformation. At the end of our activities, we are released also a specific website that I can share it now, that is only in Italian, because for the Italian field, we have worked also with data, with specific data that are available only in Italy, because they are mandatory by law from local public institutions that are committed to publish every year data about tenders from the previous year. And the name is Appalti Pop. That it means something like the popular tenders, because pop would mean making popular for citizens. So, for instance, thanks to open contracting data standard, thanks to this flow of data from different public institutions, we have published, we have transformed and converted this data in this new format, in this new standard called OCDS, and thanks to the data collected and gathered, we have been also able to create some kind of experimental indicators or red flag in order to for red flagging tenders one by one with regards to their characteristic, to the aspects. So, for instance, the publication date, to the end date, the state of the art, the procedures. So, for instance, I can see just to quickly show you a single tender. So you can see this tender. That is a kind of a furniture of bikes with a single red promoted by the municipality of Milan. With the ID number, with a series of information with a red flag, and where the red flag is as experimental one. In this case, it means that it's the first tender won by this company, this supplier. There could be an aspect to be understood better in order to understand if this kind of companies need more verification, or I don't know. So red flag are just indicators to expose the need to understand, to deepen the process, and not to flag in terms of wrong or worse on something like that. So this is the only, unfortunately, this is only available for Italian procedures, because this kind of contract, this kind of data are not available in the same manner also for Spain and for Greece. And that will do. I don't know, Susanna, if you have any question.
Thank you very much, Andrea, for your presentation, and also for sharing the great work done. I just have a quick question to you, but also to Mr. Gavrielatos, in case you want to add something. What are, based on your experience, the main challenges in fully implementing the open contracting data standards, and so having a fully transparent public contracting process?
Who's the first, me or?
If you want to go first, Andrea, and then maybe if Mr. Gavrielatos has something to add, I don't know. You still have the screen share?
Okay, yeah, just stop my screen. I think that the most important challenge, as also shared with other civil servants, is that public institutions are under a strong commitment in terms of procedures. So they every month, every 3 months, they have new commitment for the national government to publish data, to move data in other way, in other manner. So I think that the problem of standardization at large is the most important challenge, and also the process of changing publication processes at national level. So when you are at the local level, a hyper local level, you have to deal with your daily workload and with new regulation from the national government that change every month or something like that. So I think that the most important challenge is to define a kind of final standardization and to leave the local institution the time to implement it, not in 1 month, but in 1 year or 2 or more.
Okay, so Mr. Gabrielatos, do you agree? So it's a matter of overburden on municipalities, the need to standardize more, or do you have something to add?
I agree with our colleague, but I would like to remind that everything, whatever is happened, deals with flow charts of every function in the municipality, including the function of signing contracts. So it is important to identify and to make it clear within the internal system of the municipality and of the central government what are the flow charts of every function, the flow chart of signing contracts, the flow chart of monitoring contracts, the flow chart of changing some aspects of the contract. So whatever we do in this field of audit control depends on having defined flow charts. And in the basis of the flow charts, we can identify the potential risks for every corruption initiative. And the corruption will stop before it becomes a real risk at the beginning, by this identification of potential risks. And the risk analysis is a main tool of audit control, which is used by our service and by all the services of the local authorities in Greece, because it is imposed by law. There is a law of 2006, and it is enriched by new legal requirements, which is a powerful tool for preventing corruption. I think it is enough. I would like to refer to another important aspect of our initiative, which is to have an impact on every citizen's imaginary, the individual imaginary of every citizen and the social imaginary of our society. As you can I remind the research made by you, the basis of statistical elements that gives us an idea of what is the public opinion's aspect on corruption. And it is a clear idea that our society believes that there is a corruption of 80% of citizens, or 90%. So we have to enlighten the public opinion about what is the function of local authorities, of the state in its whole. So it is a different thing to identify what is the public opinion, thoughts, and another thing, what is the real fact that happens in the real life of our administration. There are two different things. I think that ACT initiative and municipal initiatives must offer citizens a new way to approach the reality and not let the imagination to travel so far. Okay, thank you very much.
If I can jump, Susanna, I totally agree. I totally agree with Mr. Gabrielatos. We need to have clear, to keep in mind that we are part of the same scenario. So we do not need to promote a kind of countering against public institutions, because we are public institutions. We are the government. So in our activities, in our legal activities, we are trying to promote the access to this data, also to make clearer the complexity that is behind the process of public procurement. This is very huge. So when citizens ask for more transparency, to fight, to counter corruption, okay, we totally agree. But it has to be clear that the process of tendering, the tendering process, the process of building something, of give some furniture, is very difficult to be managed from the public institutions at large. And for this point, we are working with Transparency International, but also with another Italian organization that is called the Parliament Watch, that is based in Sicily, that gave us also some funding help in developing our platform to try to spread the competencies of monitoring processes among citizens. So spreading competence about accessing data, about using data among citizens, can give them also the awareness, more awareness to understand the complexity of the processes of tendering procedures. So just to share these few thoughts with you.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, Mr. Gabrielatos, for your experience and for all you have shared with us today. Thank you very much. And so I will close this session and move on to the next and last one. Thank you very much. We are now, it's 12:30. I know you have been connected for more than 2 hours now, but I ask all the participants to stay with us a little bit more, because the last session is the last but not least, of course, because it's about a very important issue on which Transparency International has been focused on since the very beginning. And thanks to the ACT project, we have the opportunity to go beyond our borders and try to take the whistleblowing tools also to other European countries, strong, because we have a very good experience in Italy on developing a whistleblowing platform for whistleblowing, and we use the opportunity of the ACT project to share this experience and to involve also other countries in this process. I welcome Giorgio Fraschini, who is our expert on whistleblowing at TI Italy, and Giovanni Pellerano, who is one of the mind behind the Global Leaks software. He will say more about that in a minute. And I also would like to thank you, Mr. Fabrizio Dall'Acqua, the Secretary General of the Municipality of Milan. Milan is, I think, the first municipality in Italy which adopted a digital whistleblowing platform, and so they have a very strong experience in managing whistleblowing report and everything connected with this with the whistleblowing issue. So I give you the floor, Giorgio, and I mute myself.
Okay, thank you, Susanna. I will try not to be too annoying to the audience because of the time. My name is Giorgio Fraschini. As Susanna introduced me earlier, I'm managing whistleblowing activities and Transparency International Italy. Through the ACT project, we tried to make available to all the public administrations, municipalities in particular, a tool, it's a demo tool, of course, to report through an IT encrypted platform. Why are we promoting this tool? Because we have been working on whistleblowing since many years, and we've seen that traditional channels are really complicated, that have been really complicated, especially in our country, because of cultural problem, but also because of organizational issues. We understood that for many reasons, enabling people to report through a digital platform has so many advantages compared to the traditional channels. The main one of them is that the IT platform, an encrypted IT platform, is secure. It's the most secure way to make a whistleblowing report, and it's the most secure tool to keep the information that are reported confidential and protected from third actions, for example. Giovanni Pellerano will explain later the technology which is based behind the platform that we are proposing to the public administration. GlobalX, our partner for this project and for all the project that Transparency International Italy is doing on whistleblowing, is probably the main software for whistleblowing, I would say in Europe, but probably also outside Europe until now, and it allows to report through a secure channel to the recipient, from whistleblowers to recipient. What are other characteristics which are really relevant for whistleblowing platforms, for these platforms? The first of all is that designing a questionnaire for whistleblowers that allows the whistleblowers to follow a path and report through some questions, and so kind of forcing the person in analyzing what he wants to report, in answering questions which are set up by the recipient, the organization that will act on the whistleblowing report, also allows to the recipients to receive a better report. Because one of the problems that many organizations face is that it is often the case that reports are made just by heart, without being very rational, and most of the times they are really difficult to process for the organization that receives them. So the most important thing is guiding the whistleblower, which is not born as a whistleblower. The whistleblower is a person who witnessed something in the workplace and wants to share with some bodies who is more equipped to investigate, to verify the information. So it needs to be guided. And so the platform allows for filling a questionnaire, which is set up by the organization, and also allows the interaction between the whistleblowers and people receiving. This is a very important thing because most of times, because one thing that the platform, these IT platforms allow to do is receiving anonymous complaints. But compared to the other channels that allow for anonymous complaints, which can be emails or like a post box, whatever, there's the possibility to interact with the anonymous whistleblower, because through the platform, there's the possibility to ask for more information, clarification on the original report. And this is quite crucial in order to have like a better relationship between whistleblower and the recipient, and also to have like a better view, a clarification on an original report, which not always is perfect. The questionnaire allows and facilitates a good report, but many times the recipients will need to ask for more information to the whistleblower. So these are the main characteristics why we are pushing for the administrations to implement this reporting platform. In Italy, we started several projects on this, and there are nearly 1,000 public administrations that already use a platform which is made available by Transparency International Italy and GlobalX. Of course, and there are also private organizations, but this project, as Susanna said, was really aimed to bring this kind of idea, way of like managing whistleblowing reports also in other European countries. I'm leaving now the floor to Giovanni Pellerano, which is the technical mind behind this platform, which will explain how this technology works, the characteristics, and probably will show you also the platform. And then to Fabrizio Dell'Acqua, because the municipality of Milan, as Susanna said, was one of the pioneers in using this kind of tool in Italy, and with success, I'd say. Thank you.
Okay, good morning, everybody, and thank you for being here. Thank you, Susanna and Giorgio, for the introduction, and I am very happy to present this tool within this framework. This tool called GlobalX that is in place in this project is a tool that is a free and open source software that we developed since 2012 in order to protect whistleblowing worldwide in many different sectors, basically within investigative journalism project, anti-corruption reporting project, human rights violation reporting project, and corporate compliance. Here today we are discussing the anti-corruption. The project is a project that has been researched with one very important technology fund called Open Technology Fund. It's based in Washington, and that is a fund that supports specifically research project, open source research project that deals with repressive censorship and surveillance, and support in general what we call internet freedom, of which whistleblowing is an important component. And the technology has been built around basically two concepts that are security and usability, with the understanding that it's not possible to have a proper secure technology without as well a good usability, in the sense that if there is not a usable tool, the technology, even secure, will be a failure because it won't be used and people will use a tool that is not secure. So researching just a secure tool is an improper methodology. And this is something we worked at since 2011, properly identifying that as technologists, we were worldwide failing in these aspects. There is no possibility to go that much into the detail, so I will follow up while closing this chat and this presentation, adding in some links in the chat that you can use to go more into detail. First of all, the site, that is the main site. I invite you to visit the documentation, where you will be able to read even into the intimate details all the aspects about security, for example. The strong point of this project is the fact that it is open source. This is a strong component in the security, in the sense that it makes it possible every user worldwide to dig in and peer review and audit the technology. And as well, every contributor worldwide contribute in a way or another in this review that could be technological in relation to security, but as well, as I presented, could be a contribution in relation to usability or localization. Localization is another strong point about the technology, because we really think that a tool like a whistleblowing tool should be near to the user, so to speak their direct language. In this, we have prepared a demo, and the demo is just in 4 languages that are the languages in place in this project. But if you go, for example, and I will pass the link of this, you can find that the software has been in, I have my face covering my, okay. You can see that the software is internationalized in many languages, actually almost 60. This is a way to showcase how many has been the communities that has been able to use the software and contribute to this overall peer review of security. In this project, the software has been configured to be enabled in 4 languages that are the language of this project, so English, Espanol, Spanish, Italiano, and Greek, and you can use it. And the software implements encryption, protecting the submission while it is transferred to the end user, so for example to TI or to the municipality that is behind the whistleblowing platform, and as well
whistleblowing, e poi permette anche una eccellente anonimità con le migliori configurazioni. Abbiamo il Tor browser, quindi la tecnologia Tor, che è una tecnologia, e poi posso anche
Diré también el enlace al respecto en el chat para que puedan ir a investigar, a leerla. Es
technologies that has been funded by this fund. And for example, if you know the Signal application, Signal is another application that fits into this kind of research. And to showcase how it works so that you can see the usability, you can see that this is the landing page of the whistleblower that finds, deciding to blow the whistle, finds a questionnaire configured in this case by the with the decision by Transparency International and their expertise. That is a questionnaire that, as Giorgio told, need to be implemented precisely on what the organization want to receive. In this case, it has been studied for the end users of this project. As the user proceeds in the submission, I will not complete it all. The user is guided to a set of steps, even guided in the to to fill. So for example, here I'm reminded that a field is mandatory, and at the end, the user will get a receipt like this one that you are viewing. That is a set of numbers, is not a username and a password attached to the user, so with an authentication that is binded to an identity, but it is an anonymous receipt that would enable the whistleblower to return tomorrow and log in into the system. By logging in into the system, the whistleblower can continue to be discussing securely and anonymously with the recipient. So for example, with Transparency International, if Transparency International is behind the review, and can continue to exchange comments and to apply to upload files like I'm doing right now. And in this way, users can continue in an anonymous way and in an encrypted way to exchange information, like for example, for integrating submissions. Here I stop, and yes, I give another time the word to TI. And if you have any question, feel free to type them into the chat and we will follow up with those. Thank you, everybody.
Maybe Giorgio doesn't have the microphone open.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. Thank you, Giovanni. I think you explained very well how the platform works, how it is implementable in all the countries which are interested. Also, because as you told, it's already translated in 60 languages, other than those of the project. For the project, you can ask to activate a demo by sending us a request to the website. And we'll leave the floor now to Fabrizio Dell'Acqua, who will explain how this works in practice, because he's one of the most, the pioneer and the most important practitioner in Italy of whistleblowing platform on the public administration.
Can I start? Okay. Good morning to everyone. Thank you for this invitation. I'm very glad to participate in this interesting conference that allows me to report on the initiatives that the Italian legislator has taken about the subject of whistleblowing and about what has been done by the municipality of Milan to facilitate reporting and at the same time protecting whistleblowers' data confidentiality. I'd like to share the slide that I prepared. I'll try. Can you see?
No.
No?
No.
Oh, that's strange.
I can share that before. Would you like me to share?
Sorry, just a moment. Yes. Do you want to share? Because I sent you my slides, if you prefer. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. We can go on. Okay. Okay, with this slide, we can go on. Okay, I want to symbolically explain the meaning of the institution of whistleblowing. Just as a policeman intervenes if he notices an infraction of, or the referee blows the whistle if a foul has been committed during the football match, a public employee who notices an irregularity committed can blow the whistle and report the illegal fact. Okay, you can go on. So I will start by reading the points that I will briefly illustrate and that I consider it indicative of the most important initiatives carried out by the Italian country and in particular by the municipality of Milan in the field of whistleblowing. So I'll speak about the legislative framework about whistleblowing, the form of protection for whistleblowers, the anti-corruption and transparency plan of the municipality of Milan and the rules that we established, that we provided about whistleblowing, the IT Milan platform for whistleblowers, the guarantee institution that we created in the municipality of Milan and that it is an our invention, and at the end, the reports received and trust of employee on the whistleblowing system. Okay, we can go to the next. Okay, only you can go. Only a few words about legislative sources. The Italian Parliament approved Law 190. It's a very important law that has been approved of the 6th of November 2012, with which it provided provisions on the matter and in general on the anti-corruption policies, and the rules that are established are linked with international agreements on the same subjects: United Nations Organizations Against Corruption International Convention, and also Criminal Law Convention on Corruption that was stipulated in Strasbourg, and also the recent European Directive of the 7th of October 2019 to protect whistleblowers. So also in Italy, we have a lot of laws that establish rules about whistleblowing and to protect whistleblowers. And we have also a national anti-corruption authority that is named ANAC, which has a range of competencies on the matter and which approves the national plan for the prevention of corruption, the contents of which represent guidelines for each public administrations. There are also some guidelines about whistleblowing that establishes some rules that each public administration must observe. Okay, you can go on. Okay, what's the Italian whistleblowing system? Italian legislators have understood that criminal sanctions are not enough to fight the corruption, and he understood that organizational measures are necessary to prevent corruption, and the reporting of illegal facts is one of these. The Italian law provides for guarantees for the employee who reports illegal facts he has become aware of due to his work. And the reporting of illegal facts is also an act of ethical value useful to prevent corruption, to protect the image of the public administration, and to strengthen the trust of citizens. Public administrations are required to adopt the technical measures necessary to ensure the implementation of the protection of the employee making the reports. Okay, we can go home. We can go on. But okay, who can report illegal facts? We have three types of people: public administration's employee, consultant, collaborator, intern, and trainee, and in general, who works for a public administrations, and also workers and collaborators of companies supplying goods or services and carrying out works in favor of the public administrations only if reports of illegal facts concern the administration receiving the service covered by the agreement. The next slide, we can go on, okay, shows to whom the illegal fact can be reported. First, illegal facts can be reported to the anti-corruption and transparency manager of the administration where whistleblower works. But it's also possible to send a report to National Anti-Corruption Authority. And in this case, the investigation is conducted by the authority that receive some information also by anti-corruption manager. And this rule probably has been provided to face the fear that some whistleblower could have on reporting illegal facts to the same administrations where they work. Illegal facts, furthermore, can be reported to criminal or accounting judicial authority. if we go to the next slide, okay, we have the, I've indicated the kind of illegal facts can be reported. Illegal facts that economy operator or employees know on reason their employment relationships, and the illegal facts to be reported may consist of crimes or violation of administrative procedures or accounting rules, or in the non-observance of the rules of conduct provided for in the ethics codes. But the report can also consist in communication about discrimination facts that the administration has done after the report of illegal facts by the whistleblower. And in this case, the report can be sent only to national authority, ANAC, to Anticorruption National Authority. Okay, we can go on. I'll explain you the form of protection for whistleblower. We can go, okay. We have essentially three forms of protection for whistleblower. Whistleblower data confidentiality protection, prohibition of discrimination, and denial of the right of access whistleblower reports. But what does it mean? We can go on. What's the meaning of whistleblower data confidentiality protection? This rule means that during the criminal or accounting judgment, the identity of the whistleblower is covered by secrecy until the investigation phase is closed. But after this phase, whistleblower data are no longer protected during the process. And also in carrying out a disciplinary procedure within the administrations, originating as a result of the whistleblower's reports, the identity of the whistleblower cannot be revealed if the disputed facts can also be demonstrated on further investigations to the whistleblower's report. And at the last, if the dispute is based in whole or in part on the report, and the knowledge of the identity of the whistleblower is essential for the defense of the accused person, the report will be usable only if the whistleblower has allowed the disclosure of his or her identity, but never if whistleblowers disagree. We can go on. The public employee, yes, I want to explain what's no discrimination. It means that the public employee reports to the anti-corruption and transparency manager, or to the national anti-corruption authority, or to the ordinary judicial or accounting authorities, cannot be sanctioned, dimensioned, licensed, transferred, and in general cannot be subject to any other organizational measures having any negative effect on working conditions. Okay, we can go on. What's the meaning of denial of the right of access to whistleblower reports? It means that whistleblower reports cannot be the subject of right of access by anyone. It's also important remembering that ANAC approved some guidelines that establish particular forms of reporting illegal facts, also using IT platform or instruments that can encrypt personal data of the whistleblower to ensure their identity. And so we can go on. ANAC, okay, we can go on. ANAC has also the supervisory duties in relation to administrations to enforce compliance with the regulation and can impose penalties for irregularities. And in fact, if ANAC discovers the adoption of discrimination measures against the whistleblower, a fine from 5,000 to 30,000 euros can be imposed on whoever is held accountable. Or if ANAC verify the absence of procedures for sending with safety away and receiving reports of illegal facts, or the adoption of procedures that are other than the law, a fine between 10,000 to 50,000 euros can be imposed on whoever is held accountable. And the same fine is imposed also if it's ascertained that the manager doesn't carry out verification and analysis of the reports received. And also in this case, the fine is very, very strong. We can go now. Okay. Now I'd like to explain what the municipality of Milan has done on field of whistleblowing. The 3 years corruption prevention plan that we adopted in municipality of Milan establishes that the report of illegal facts must take place by using a platform dedicated to whistleblowing. Also in Milan, we use Global Leaks platform, through which it's possible to report a fact that constitutes an offense or any other illegal acts or irregularities that can damage both property and the image of the municipality. The report must concern behaviors that remain to the public interest and must be detailed under penalty of forfeiture of the report itself. Okay, we can go on. Who wants to report on illegal fact can go on internet municipality portal, or if the whistleblower is an employee, on intranet of a municipality, and open the whistleblowing section. Then there's a description of the policy to use whistleblowing platform, and if it's decided to send the report, the platform send a code, release a code for whistleblower access, and this code can be used also to get in touch with the guarantee institution. And at this point, the whistleblower can format to fill in confidentially or anonymously with the description on the fact. When this operation has been completed, whistleblower can send a report, and at the same time, the guarantee body receives a message. So the guarantee body knows that someone used the platform, and the whistleblower receives a confirmation message that his or her compliant has been sent. We can go to the next slide. This slide, I'm sorry that it's an Italian slide, but it's a screenshot of our format of our anti-corruption plan. This is the description of process flow that I just described, and I want to say that the informatic platform allows whistleblowers to send a report of illegal facts also with attached documents, either anonymously or confidentially, filling in specific forms. Okay, we can go on. I'd like to speak about this guarantee institution. The municipality has set up a guarantee institution made up of 2 external experts on the subject and an internal component of the anti-corruption unit that is named by the mayor. This is an invention of the municipality of Milan because the law provides only the anti-corruption manager who normally must receive the report of illegal facts. The reason why this guarantee body was created in Milan is linked to the desire to provide maximum guarantee of independence and impartiality in the examination of reports and to strengthen trust in the instrument. What are the main tasks of this body, of this guarantee institution? Evaluate whistleblower reports of illegal facts, get in touch with the whistleblower and carry out a preliminary investigation that must be closed within 90 days, report to the anti-corruption manager of the municipality of Milan, protect whistleblower data confidentiality, and draw up annually reports. You can go on. Okay. Using the IT platform, the whistleblower within the report may indicate the scope of the report, if he is an employee or a supplier, if he wants to make a report anonymously or confidentiality. So in this case, will be indicated the name and surname of the whistleblower. The whistleblower can check the status of their report through the token received when sending the report, and it's possible interacting with an asynchronous messaging system with the guarantee body to provide further information and to know also the state of the heart of the report. Okay, you can go the next. it's possible, of course, the access to the management of the report by the guarantee body. And to access the system provides two different steps. Step one consists in a request for entering user credentials guarantee body. Then we have a second step that consists in insertions of 3 pins that are composed of 4 digits that the system sends to the members of the guarantee organizations to their respective email addresses. Pin generations occurs when step 1 is passed, and the order of the pins is irrelevant, and the pins will no longer be valid after successful access to the system. And the guarantee body user will have to repeat both steps at each access to the system. Okay, you can go to the next one. And the body guarantee within the system may view alerts, manage individual reports, view any confidential indication of personal data for each report, but only if the report is confidential, and know if the report comes from within the municipality or from a network outside the municipality. Okay, we can go to the next one. The format that whistleblower fill in to report illegal fact can be filled in confidential or anonymous, I told you, and contains indication about the place where the illegal fact happened and the time when the fact happened, and also the description of the fact, the persons involved, the economic impact of the illegal fact, and also the level of involvement of the whistleblower. So whistleblower can indicate if the whistleblower is a witness or if he learned the facts from others, and also if he's a victim of illegal facts. Okay, we can go to... Okay, this is the format. Also, this is a screenshot, but this is the format that we use, and it is in Italian, but the fields are the fields that I described to you. So we can go on, and also we can go on. Okay, how many reports, illegal fact, have we received in the period 2015-2020? We can go on. The reports of illegal facts have increased over time. 13 reports were sent in 2013, and each year they've increased up to 34 in 2020. This increase doesn't mean, in my opinion, that illegal facts have increased, but that employees' trust in the tool of whistleblowing has grown, and perhaps also due to training courses that we have intensified over the years. The next slide is a graph that shows the number of anonymous and confidential reports that have been sent in 2020. Unfortunately, the number of anonymous reports is higher than confidential ones, even if these last have also increased over time, and we are working to improve trust in the tool. We can go to the next. Okay, the subject of reports of unlawful facts mainly concerns conflict of interest, no compliance with transparency rules, incorrect use of the badge to falsely certify the presence in the workplace, and also irregularity in the execution of public agreements. And each report was investigated by the guarantee body, and in some cases the facts were reported to the judicial authority. In others, the procedures used by the offices were improved, and in other cases the reports were failed because the facts were not founded, or because there was a lack of useful elements to carry out the investigation. Okay, we can go on. 2 years ago, the municipality of Milan, together with the Bocconi University, conducted a survey to verify employees' knowledge of the instrument and verify its strengths and weakness. And I think you can go on. Okay, questionnaire were administered to approximately 7,000 employees, and it emerged that almost 60% of the staff was informed about the possibility of reporting illegal facts through the platform I mentioned before, even if a significant percentage wasn't aware of them. And also for this reason, we have increased the training courses, and we will probably repeat the survey this year or next year. Okay, we can go to the, okay. The results, I think, that are very interesting, the results of this survey, because we knew that most employees know the platform to report illegal facts, and they have had a good information about whistleblowers. But we also know that the main obstacles to reporting unlawful facts are not having enough evidence, or the fear that anonymity will not be maintained, or also the belief that things would not change, or in general fear of retaliation. So we can go to the last slide. I'm convinced that the fight against corruption is above all a cultural fact. And I believe that administrations still have to devote their energies to overcome a cultural resistance to denounce illegal facts of which they become aware. Everyone needs to understand that in order to change things for the better, everyone must do their part by risking something. Instead, alibis are often sought to justify one's silence. And so I'd like finish my intervention with the words of an Italian judge, a native of the city of Palermo, a judge well known all over the world. His name is Giovanni Falcone, an anti-mafia judge who was killed by the mafia in 1992, and who, to encourage people to report crimes without any fear, said, the fact that things are like this doesn't mean that they always have to go like this. But the truth is that when it comes to rolling up their sleeves and starting to do things, most people prefer to complain rather than do. Thank you for attention.
Thank you very much to Mr. Della, who absolutely introduced us to a lot of the activities that the municipality of Milan does, along with giving the whistleblowers of the municipalities the possibility to use an IT platform. And it was absolutely precise, and that's something we really appreciate, because as in this project, along with the tool that we are providing to the administrations, we also published on the website of the project some guidelines on how to implement a good whistleblowing system. That's because the reporting channel, the IT platform, is one part of it. But as Mr. Dell'Acqua explained very well, the most important thing is also what you can do with the report that you receive, how you treat, how you interact both with the whistleblower, with other offices, and all the tools that are used to maintain the confidentiality, not only to receive the first report, but also in the following steps. If I didn't see any questions in the Q&A part of Zoom, but as already told by Susanna earlier on, we are available if you want to write us anything about the tool that we presented, or anything at all about transparency and anti-corruption and the project. Please contact us. The contacts are visible in the invitation that you received, but for example, for whistleblowing, you can just write to whistleblowing.transparency.it, and if the question is for Mr. Dell'Acqua or for Giovanni Pellerano, we can refer to them later on. And thank you. I'll give the word back to Susanna for the closing remarks.
Thank you very much to all of you. Thank you to Mr. Dall'Acqua for his very important experience, and we really appreciate it. I think also we have many municipalities from Italy, Spain, Greece connected to the meeting today. So I think it's a very important opportunity for them to learn how it effectively works in practice. Thank you very much to all of you, and thank you to who has been with us today from all over the world, I would say, because there were people from many parts of the world. Every information you need about the project and about the tools developed are available on the project website, which is www.anticorruptiontoolkit.eu, or you can just directly get in touch with all the partner organizations, Transparency International Italy, Access Info Europe in Spain, Bully Watch in Greece. And so nothing more from my side. Thank you very much again, and just get in touch.